Have you ever thought a small change in your body was nothing to worry about, only to later find out it was something serious? Here is a fact that might surprise you. Doctors say that many seniors show clear warning signs when life is drawing to a close, but too often these signals are brushed aside as just part of getting older. That silence can cost us precious time. Today I'm going to walk you through 7 powerful warning signs that your body may be nearing its final stage of life. These are not everyday aches and pains, but specific signals that health experts want you to recognize. By understanding them, you can face these changes with wisdom, acceptance, and a greater sense of peace. Before we begin, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching this video from, and what time of day is it right now? I'm always curious to know. And if you find this video helpful, tap that subscribe button so you won't miss what's coming next. If not, go ahead and hit the like button anyway. It still helps us share this message. Understanding the first signs of decline. As we grow older, our bodies begin to speak to us in ways that are sometimes easy to overlook, yet deeply important to notice. These messages are not always loud or dramatic, but instead show up in subtle shifts that carry more meaning than we might expect. Doctors often remind us that the human body rarely shuts down without sending signals first, and those signals deserve our careful attention. It is natural for aging to bring changes, slower steps, stiffer joints, or the need for a longer nap in the afternoon. Those are the ordinary parts of life after 65, the parts we share with friends when we laugh about getting older. But there are other changes that go far beyond normal wear and tear. These are the warning signs that may point to something far more serious, signals that the body is preparing for a final chapter. Recognizing the difference between the harmless aches of age and the red flags of decline is what gives us the power to respond wisely. For seniors in America, where independence and dignity matter so much, ignoring these signs can feel tempting. You may not want to burden your children, or you may tell yourself it is just part of getting old. Yet knowing what to watch for allows you to make informed choices, seek medical advice when needed, and share honest conversations with your loved ones before it is too late. In this video, we will walk together through 7 of the clearest signals that experts identify as markers of life's closing stage. They include rapid and unexplained weight loss, persistent and extreme fatigue, noticeable changes in breathing, withdrawal from social interaction, decline in appetite and thirst, changes in skin and circulation, and finally withdrawal and decreased awareness. Each of these signs carries both a medical explanation and an emotional reality. They can be frightening, but they also offer a chance to prepare to lean on family and to choose comfort. Now let's walk through each one in detail so you can recognize them and know what they mean. Rapid and unexplained. Weight loss. One of the clearest signals that the body may be entering a more fragile stage is sudden weight loss that cannot be explained by diet or exercise. It can feel startling to notice the number on the scale dropping, even though you have not changed the way you eat or moved more than usual. At first, you might tell yourself that losing a few pounds is not such a bad thing, but when it continues without reason, it can be a sign of something much deeper. Doctors explain that this kind of weight loss happens when the body can no longer process nutrients the way it once did. The digestive system may slow down, the intestines may stop absorbing vitamins and minerals, or the cells themselves may struggle to use the fuel they are given. Sometimes it is linked to serious illnesses such as cancer, heart disease, or organ failure. Other times it reflects the body quietly shifting its priorities away from building strength and toward conserving energy for the basics of survival. In everyday life, the changes may appear first in the mirror or in your clothing. Pants that once fit snugly suddenly feel loose, or a favorite shirt begins to hang differently across the shoulders. Friends or family may gently comment that you look thinner even when you have not been trying to lose weight. Unlike the healthy kind of weight loss that comes from a balanced diet and exercise, this form of decline arrives without effort and brings with it fatigue, loss of appetite, and a quiet weakening that can be hard to reverse. For families, watching a loved one grow thinner without explanation can be deeply painful. There may be pressure to encourage more meals, to cook favorite dishes, or to insist that just a few more bites will help. The truth, however, is that this is not about willpower, stubbornness, or neglect. It is the body sending a message that it is struggling, and forcing more food often creates discomfort rather than strength. The emotional weight of these changes can feel heavier than the physical one. Seniors in America often value independence, pride themselves on staying strong, and resist the idea of becoming a burden. Losing weight without control can make a person feel vulnerable or even embarrassed. It can remind them of the limits of age in a way that is both humbling and frightening. Families, meanwhile, may worry that they are not doing enough, even though the situation is beyond anyone's control. The most important step is not to fight the body, but to honor it. Comfort, dignity, and meaningful moments become more valuable than calories or portion sizes. Gentle approaches, such as offering soft foods, serving smaller meals, or focusing on taste rather than volume, may help. Just as important is creating an atmosphere of love and reassurance, reminding the person that their worth is not tied to how much they eat, but to the life they have lived and the bonds they still hold. Rapid and unexplained weight loss should never be ignored, but it should also not be met with fear alone. Recognizing it as a signal allows you to respond with compassion, to consult a doctor when needed, and to shift the focus from chasing pounds to cherishing peace. By doing so, you can transform a time of worry into a time of connection, ensuring that health challenges do not erase the dignity or joy of the days that remain. Persistent and extreme fatigue. Tiredness is something we all know, especially as we age, but there is a world of difference between ordinary fatigue and the deep exhaustion that can signal a more serious stage of decline. Normal tiredness eases with a good night's sleep, a short afternoon nap, or simply taking a break, while persistent fatigue lingers no matter how much rest you get. This type of exhaustion can make everyday tasks feel like climbing a hill with no summit in sight. Walking across the living room may leave you breathless, holding a conversation can feel like lifting a heavy weight, and even sitting upright for more than a few minutes can drain the little energy you have left. For many older adults, these changes do not arrive overnight, but creep in slowly until one day you realize that rest no longer restores you the way it once did. Doctors often explain that persistent fatigue develops when the body systems begin to slow down. The heart may not pump as strongly, the lungs may struggle to deliver enough oxygen, or the blood may carry fewer nutrients to the muscles and brain. When that happens, the body makes a choice. It directs what little energy remains toward the most essential functions, leaving less strength for movement, conversation, or even staying alert. The effects are not only physical. Thinking can become slower, confusion may appear more often, and it can be difficult to concentrate on simple tasks. Loved ones might mistake this for lack of interest, assuming you have withdrawn from life, but in truth, the body is simply working harder than ever to keep itself going. What looks like disinterest is often just survival. For families, this stage can be frustrating because the instinct is to encourage activity in hopes of sparking energy. Yet pushing someone who is deeply fatigued rarely brings strength. More often, it leads to frustration, discomfort, or guilt. The most valuable gift in these moments is quiet companionship, offering a calm presence, a gentle hand to hold, or simply sitting together in peace. Persistent and extreme fatigue is not a sign of weakness in character, but of the body conserving its final energy. By recognizing it, you can replace pressure with compassion and trade expectation for presence. In doing so, you remind yourself and your loved ones that even in exhaustion, life still holds meaning, connection, and dignity. Noticeable changes in breathing. Among the most visible and often most unsettling signals that the body may be reaching a fragile stage are changes in breathing. At first, it may appear as a slight shortness of breath, where finishing a sentence requires a pause even while sitting still. Over time, the rhythm may grow uneven with shallow breaths interrupted by deeper gasps or even long pauses that feel endless to those watching. Some families hear what is often called the death rattle, a gurgling sound caused when throat muscles weaken and can no longer clear fluid effectively. Doctors explain that these shifts happen because the lungs are no longer exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide as efficiently as before. Oxygen levels drop, carbon dioxide rises, and the body struggles to maintain balance. Alongside these changes, loved ones may notice lips taking on a bluish tint or hands and feet feeling cool to the touch, all signs that circulation is redirecting blood toward the vital organs. For families watching someone they love breathe with such difficulty can be heartbreaking and frightening. The instinct is often to panic, but it is important to understand that in many cases these changes do not bring pain. They are part of the natural slowing of the body, not a sign of suffering. What matters most is not to fix the breathing, but to bring comfort. A calm voice, a gentle hand resting nearby, or simply creating a quiet, peaceful space can ease fear for both the person and their family. By offering reassurance and presence, you provide the most powerful medicine available in these moments, love, acceptance, and the reminder that no one is alone in this journey. Withdrawal from social interaction. Another sign that often appears as the body grows weaker is a gradual pulling back from social life. You may notice someone who once enjoyed long conversations now speaking less, preferring short exchanges, or even silence. Family gatherings that used to bring laughter may feel overwhelming, and the person may choose to stay in their room instead of sitting at the dinner table. From the outside, this change can be confusing and painful. Loved ones may feel as though they are being rejected or worry that they have done something wrong. Many describe it as a loss before the loss and aching sense that their connection is fading before life itself ends. Yet doctors remind us that this withdrawal is not about pushing people away. It is the body's way of conserving its remaining energy for the most essential tasks. For seniors, turning inward can feel natural when strength is limited. It may be easier to rest quietly than to keep up with conversation or to listen rather than speak. What can seem like disinterest is often simply the body's gentle request for stillness. The best response is not to pressure or correct, but to offer presence. Sit quietly together, hold their hand, or share the same space without words. Those simple acts speak volumes, assuring the person that they are not alone and that love does not depend on constant activity. Social withdrawal, though difficult to witness, is not a loss of affection or connection. It is part of the body's natural process, and by respecting it, families can replace hurt with compassion. In those moments of silence, comfort and love often speak the loudest. Decline in appetite and thirst. One of the clearest and most common signs that the body is preparing for its final stage is a sharp decline in appetite and thirst. A person who once enjoyed 3 meals a day may now take only a few bites before pushing the plate aside. Drinks that used to be refreshing may no longer be appealing, and sometimes water itself is refused not out of stubbornness, but because the body no longer asks for it. From a medical point of view, doctors explain that this shift occurs when the digestive system slows down. The body is no longer focused on growth or renewal, so the signals that once triggered hunger and thirst begin to fade. Calories and hydration are less necessary because energy is being conserved for the most basic functions. In many ways, the body is gently turning inward, shutting down systems that are no longer essential. For families, however, watching a loved one refuse food or drink can be heartbreaking. In American culture, sharing meals is often an act of love, and feeding someone is seen as a way of caring for them. When a senior suddenly stops eating, family members may fear that they are giving up or that their loved one is starving. The truth is far more complex. This decline is not a choice, but a natural process. The best response in these moments is not to insist on larger meals or plead for another spoonful, but to focus on comfort. Offering ice chips can soothe a dry mouth, moistening the lips can bring relief, and small, soft bites of food can provide pleasure without pressure. Gentle gestures like these often matter more than calories or full plates. They show compassion while respecting the body's limits. It is also important to remember that forcing food or drink can cause discomfort. For someone whose digestive system has slowed, extra food may lead to nausea, bloating, or even pain. Instead of measuring care in terms of how much someone eats, measure it by the presence you give, the time you share, and the reassurance you offer. In many families, guilt becomes an unspoken burden. Loved ones may feel that they are failing if they cannot convince the person to eat. Yet real support comes not from pushing plates across the table, but from sitting close, speaking gently, and holding a hand when words fall short. These are the moments that provide peace, and they remind everyone that dignity and love remain more important than food at the end of life. A decline in appetite and thirst can be unsettling, but it is also a reminder that the body knows how to close its own story. By accepting this change with compassion, families can release fear and replace it with presence. In doing so, they transform mealtime from a struggle into a moment of connection, focusing less on what is left uneaten and more on the gift of being together. Changes in skin and circulation. Another sign that the body is moving into a more delicate stage is the way the skin begins to change. You may notice patches of skin that look bluish or purplish, especially on the hands, feet, knees, and elbows. Sometimes the skin takes on a marbled appearance with patterns that spread like faint lines beneath the surface. In addition, the skin often becomes thinner, more fragile, and more likely to bruise even after the gentlest touch or bump. Doctors explain that these changes occur because circulation is slowing. As the heart and blood vessels work harder to sustain life, blood is directed to the brain and the vital organs rather than to the arms and legs. This shift means the skin and extremities receive less oxygen and warmth. As a result, the hands and feet often feel cool even when the room is comfortably heated. For seniors and their families, these visible differences can be unsettling. In everyday American life, color in the skin is often a sign of health, so seeing it fade or turn blue can stir fear. Families may worry that their loved one is in pain, or they may struggle with feelings of helplessness as they watch the body change in such obvious ways. The good news is that although these shifts can look alarming, they are not always painful. What matters most is creating comfort in simple, practical ways. Keeping the person warm with soft blankets, cozy socks, or gentle layers can ease the chill. Touching the skin with care, whether it is a hand on the arm or a light stroke across the back, can bring reassurance without causing harm. The goal is not to correct the skin's appearance, but to create a sense of safety and peace. It is also important for families to understand that these changes are not signs of neglect or poor care. They are part of the body's natural process, a reflection of energy being preserved for the most essential tasks. By accepting what you see without judgment, you can reduce stress for yourself and replace worry with compassion. The skin is often described as the body's largest organ, and in the final stages, it speaks clearly about what is happening inside. Instead of letting these changes create fear, let them remind you to focus on warmth, tenderness, and presence. A soft blanket and a gentle touch cannot stop the process, but they can make the journey calmer, kinder, and filled with love. Withdrawal and decreased awareness. As the body approaches its final stage, one of the most noticeable shifts is a gradual withdrawal from the outside world. A person who once greeted you warmly may now respond only with a faint smile or a quiet glance. Conversations that used to flow easily may fade into silence, and the individual may spend more time asleep than awake. At times, they may drift in and out of awareness, waking briefly before returning to rest, as if conserving every bit of energy. Families often describe these moments as bittersweet. It can be painful to sit beside a loved one and feel that your words are no longer reaching them in the same way. Some may even hear their parent's spouse or friend speak softly of people who have long since passed, as if they are preparing to meet them once again. While this can be startling, many doctors and caregivers reassure us that it is a natural part of the body and spirit preparing for what lies ahead. For loved ones, the instinct may be to call louder, to stir conversation, or to wake the person more often. Yet forcing alertness rarely brings comfort. What matters most in these quiet hours is not how much someone speaks, but the gentle reassurance that they are not alone. Staying close, speaking softly, and holding a hand can mean more than 1,000 words. These small acts create a sense of safety and peace, reminding the person that love remains constant even when awareness fades. Though this stage can be one of the hardest for families to accept, it is also an opportunity. It allows you to honor the journey without fear, to sit in silence without feeling helpless, and to recognize that presence itself is a gift. By embracing these final changes with compassion, you replace panic with peace and turn painful moments into ones of connection. Withdrawal and decreased awareness are not signs of rejection or indifference. They are the body's way of preparing for the final journey, a natural transition that deserves understanding. In these moments, the greatest comfort comes not from words, but from being there with warmth, patience, and love. As we come to the end of this conversation, I hope these 7 signs have given you a clearer picture of what the body may be telling us in life's later chapters. They are not meant to bring fear, but to help you understand, prepare, and focus on what truly matters: comfort, dignity, and the precious time you share with loved ones. These tips are shared for general awareness. If you're facing any health challenges, be sure to check with your doctor before trying anything new. A trusted physician can help you sort out what is normal and what may need attention. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What lesson or thought stayed with you most today? Share it in the comments below, or simply type the word HOPE if that's what you're holding on to. And if you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, and share this video with a friend or family member who might need it. As you move forward, remember this: every day, no matter how small, can hold a moment of joy, a spark of connection, or a gentle smile. May you carry that hope with you, and may your days ahead be filled with peace, warmth, and love.